are recording tonight's session. I recognize that there's probably a lot of people that are opting to stay home and off roads tonight, so we're going to try to get this recorded and up on our YouTube channel. But to all of you who braved the roads tonight, I appreciate you being here. Thank you for coming. My name is Adriana Plach. I'm the Continuous Improvement Coordinator for the district, and I serve as the Director of the Insight Program. And so tonight I'd like to kind of talk to you a little bit about what the Insight Program is all about. I'm going to go through all of the different classes that we have in the Insight Program, and then talk a little bit about what the timeline is if you have a child that is interested in applying for the program for next year. I will also stay until the very end, until the last person leaves, in case there are any questions. I'm happy to answer all of those as they come up, and also feel free, if you're comfortable, to just ask a question in the middle of this as well. That's perfectly fine on my end. So in the interest of time, I'm going to try to make sure that we get through the information quickly and get everybody back on the road. I apologize. I am going to be doing a lot of talking today, so bear with me. So today I'd like to kind of talk a little bit about who makes up the Insight team, what Insight actually is, what the different courses are and what they look like, and then what the benefits and expectations are of participating in this program to help you decide with your children if this is a good fit. And then we'll wrap up with next steps and any Q&A. The Insight program started about 9 years ago now, I think, and it started with just a handful of people, and it's grown pretty exponentially. So this is the list now of different staff members in Pewaukee schools that are involved in some way, shape, or form with the Insight program as it's continued to grow over the last couple of years. So when we talk about what is Insight, Insight is really a different type of experience for learning for students. It's an experience that's designed for students that are ready to start refining their post-secondary path, whatever that path might be, while they're still in high school. And it allows students to start doing a deep dive into different career paths that might be of interest to them. Our goal is to really help students understand at an earlier age whether or not the career that they think is for them is really for them. So that when they do launch, whatever path they choose is the right one for them. We don't want them going out and spending a lot of time and money on something that ultimately isn't going to make them happy or isn't going to enable them to find a career that is fulfilling and financially secure. So a lot of people are very familiar with our graduate profile and our 6 C's, as we call them. And this is embedded in everything across the district, our 4K classrooms up to the high school. But one of the things that I will say about the grad profile in relation to Insight is that the graduate profile is really on steroids in the Insight program. We really do a deep dive into focusing on developing future-ready skills in the Insight program, and our students are engaging with community members, they're engaging with professionals in career fields of their interest, and really working on things like public speaking skills, and really taking what they are learning in class and figuring out how that translates into what it looks like in the real world. So we'll talk a little bit more about this. Each of the strands, we call them, so each course in Insight we call a strand because it focuses on a different career area. We have 8 strands in Insight, and they're all very different because they all are really developed to reflect and to support the career path that they're aligned with. That being said, there are 4 kind of commonalities for our Insight programs. And one of them is the mentorship component, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Another is academic rigor. These classes are not easy classes, but they are meant to be engaging, and they are, and I will, to be honest, I think you would say that a lot of the students would say that they're fun, because they're applying their learning in a way that's really authentic and relevant for them. We have a lot of different community and career immersion opportunities within the Insight program. And then the last piece are, whenever possible, we are embedding post-secondary credits or industry certifications into the experiences as well. So here are our 8 different strands, and I'm going to go through each of these one at a time. So bear with me. All of these are also found on our website. which is PewaukeeInsight.com, so you can find a lot of this information there as well if you don't remember what I'm saying tonight. So we're going to talk about each of these in turn. We have a course called Aviation here at the high school. We were the third high school in the state of Wisconsin to have an aviation program. We've been very fortunate since then to be able to consult with a lot of other districts in our area and share what we've learned about our aviation program, and as a result, we know that there are multiple other schools, particularly in Waukesha County now, that are also starting to develop and offer their own aviation course. This course is one in which it's really designed for the students that are interested in elements of the aviation industry. That could be the individuals that are exploring the idea of going and becoming a pilot. And that process is a complex and convoluted kind of process. So part of what we're trying to do is really help students understand what this looks like. This class is also a draw for students who would like to work in the transportation industry in some way, as maybe an aerospace engineer, air traffic control. Maybe they would like to be a technician or in maintenance. And this also is appealing for a lot of students that are considering military pathways in the future as well. The students in this class will focus on things like physics and engineering. They learn about weather, a lot about weather, and how to identify safety features and identify elements of weather that might make it safe or not safe to be able to take an airplane up. They learn about the language that pilots use when they're communicating, and they do a lot of hands-on labs to really apply what it is that they're learning and figure out how physics really works and how it actually becomes something very tangible when you're working with something like flight. This class is open to students in grades 10 through 12 here at the high school. And it is held here at the high school. Not all of our classes are held here at the high school in the Insight program, but this one is. This class is one period for every other day for the entire year, and students earn one high school credit. There is not a post-secondary credential or industry certification that is part of this particular class. However, what this class does do is give you about half of the foundational information that you would need should an individual want to pursue their FAA written exam, which is essentially the big test you have to take to get your attempts to fly. So there is an enormous amount of content that you need to have to be able to pass that test. The content in this class will cover about half of that. And then one of the other kind of cool things about this particular program is that we were very fortunate to have a flight simulator donated to us a couple of years ago. So we do have an authentic flight simulator here in the building, and we have a great partnership with the gentleman who donated it to us. He is a pilot himself, and he comes every single year and he trains all of the students in our aviation class how to use the simulator. And then those students are able to access the simulator and practice their flying skills during class, during their resource, during free time. We have processes set up. Only students that have been or are currently in the aviation program are able to use the flight simulator. I've used it myself under his guidance, and it's pretty crazy. You can fly over the school campus. It's really awesome. So it's a great opportunity for anybody who's really interested in aviation. Any questions on the aviation class? Can you take it multiple years? That's a great question. Can you take it multiple years? Okay, some of our Insight classes you can and some you can't. This one is not one that you can repeat. However, I'm going to talk in a few minutes about an opportunity for students who are really passionate about a career field and have exhausted the Insight option. So I'm going to push pause on that, but I promise I'll return to it. All right, our second class is our Elements of Health and Medicine class. This class is a draw for students that are really interested in the patient-facing side of healthcare. So for those that are interested in becoming physical therapists or doctors or nurses or CNAs, this class is a fantastic opportunity for our students to get some real world experience. We have a lot of students that are interested in healthcare, but a lot of times students will say that they think they want to go into a part of healthcare. Maybe they want to be a doctor, maybe they think they want to be a nurse, but it's so broad and you need to specialize so much these days. This class does a really, really nice job of exposing students to different options so they can actually start to refine that down and figure out what area of healthcare they might really, truly be interested in. This class is a heavy lift. It is 3.5 credits of high school that you earn in this class. It is open only to juniors and seniors, and it takes up hours 1 and 2 every day of the entire year for students. Now that being said, with the fact that you earn 3.5 credits in it, you actually get your math credit is built into this. You take math, advanced mathematics and analytics. So here in this particular math class, you are taking some of those aspects of math that are maybe a little bit nebulous, such as, let's talk about like geometry, let's talk about cosine and tangent and all of those wonderful things, right? And here you are applying them to the field of math. So for example, you might focus on cosine and how does this translate to sound waves? And how does this impact someone who has hearing loss? And then how might that translate into the assistive technology that's used, hearing aids, to help change sound waves and make them more accessible? So you're taking math and you're really applying it in the real world way. You're also doing a lot of analysis of data sets. You're looking at test data, you're working at trying to predict diagnoses, develop preventative care plans, etc. Your physical fitness, your PE credit, is also built into this as well. And then there is a clinical experience. There is a medical interventions where our students are working on with test equipment that, quite frankly, a lot of times you don't use until like your second or third year of college. And then they actually start the year at WCTC. So this class, most of the year it's held here at the high school, but for the first couple months of the school year, it's actually held at WCTC, and all the students in this program go through the Certified Nursing Assistant program there. And then they actually start working with clients out in different facilities, and they do help clients with personal cares, and they are accruing hours in patient-facing care. And even if you have a student who is interested in becoming a neurosurgeon, they're going to need to develop and accrue hours with patient-facing time, and this is a great way for them to start to do it. We also have a lot of students that will go through this program and become a CNA, and we know that that's a high demand area right now in terms of labor market, and they will work part-time through high school as a CNA. And that'll be their job on the side. So we've had great success with this program. It's been really, really beneficial for our students that have participated in it. A lot of times our students, we do, and I'm going to come back to the dress code a little bit, our dress code requirements for these courses reflect the dress code expectations of this field. So we will always say, like, we expect you to dress professionally when you're meeting with your mentors, when you are working one-on-one with people in the community. With this particular group, actually, a lot of our kids are in scrubs. So that's kind of what it looks like. In terms of a prerequisite or a requirement, WCTC does have some requirements that are unique to this particular course because they have to align with the state and federal requirements for a CNA program. If your child is interested in this, our teachers are very, very well versed in what the paperwork is. They will help walk you through all of that. And they have a very, very seamless process for how they do that. And in addition, we do require that our students have either had or are concurrently taking Math 3, just because the advanced level of math with the math course that's in this program. All right. Any questions on the elements in health and medicine before I move on to global business? Okay, and I'll stay after again for questions. Global business. This was the very first class that we offered in Insight. This is our launch into the Insight world, was the global business program. This program combines English language arts, business, and economics. And students will spend a lot of their time in this particular course working in teams to actually do real work for authentic, real companies and organizations in the area. So what will happen is our teachers work with different businesses, and they will have a problem that needs to be solved. And our teachers will work with them to outline a business charter and identify what deliverables the company needs. And then once the school year, at the beginning of the school year, the students are learning a lot about project management, and eventually they will be put into groups of 4 to 5 students. One of them will be a project manager. They'll all have different roles, and they will spend their time doing a deep dive, and they will be working on these deliverables for these companies. So as an example, one of our first years of the Insight program, we partnered with the Milwaukee Bucks. And they had when they would send out during the games, they would toss out like canned koozies and t-shirts and things like that. They didn't have an inventory tracking system for that. So they were having executives that kind of count boxes to figure out when things needed to be reordered. It wasn't going to make or break the Bucks, but it certainly wasn't something that was probably the best use of an executive's time. So their ask of us was to investigate with certain parameters inventory tracking systems and figure out what our group of students would recommend based on competitors, based on all the different options out there, what comparable other teams were using, and so that was one of the things that they did. The American Heart Association wanted to launch a new national fundraiser, and they actually, we launched it here. It was the first launch of this. Our students developed all of the different marketing materials for it, and the first nationwide launch of that took place here in Pewaukee. So there's different types of projects that students will work on. They are authentic, and they take it very seriously because they know it matters. It's real work for real companies. The logistics of this is also a heavy lift. This is first and second hour of every day for the entire school year, and it is 4 credits. This class is held off-site. It is held in the Insight office. Students will refer to it as going to the office. It's about a 7-minute drive from here in the Pewaukee Business Park. So we lease some office space, and that's where the students go, and they have their class there. We do ask our students to dress professionally. They've got dress-down days, and that's fine. That replicates the real world. But they have a lot more interaction with different community members and business executives, so there are times where they're expected to dress professionally. The 4 credits that students earn are their ELA class, so their Advanced Comp and Com class is built into this, so that's one of those 4 credits. They have a credit in Business and Project Management. They have a Business and Community Connections course, so those are 2 elective business classes. And then the last one is Economics 202 and 203. And should students choose, they can earn up to 6 credits through UW Green Bay by taking this course in economics. We are also planning on piloting some industry certifications, and so I don't have the specific one identified yet, but we're looking at piloting that for either this spring or next year as well. Any questions on this? One last piece to note is that a lot of the students will drive themselves to and from the Insight office for this class. However, we don't ever want a student to not be able to participate if they don't have their license or don't have access to a vehicle. We have a shuttle that we run back and forth from the campus every single day, and we do have students that take advantage of that. So if a student doesn't have access to a vehicle, that is what we ask them to use. We don't allow carpooling just because we want students to be focused on being safe and being the only person in the car, and we do have the shuttle. So that's how we have students kind of transport back and forth. Okay, so in this particular course, would it be the ELA course that you're referring to? So some of the courses can be the Advanced Comp and Com. If they've taken that one, we can potentially switch that with the English 11, depending on what the standards are. Some of the classes in here are unique to the Global Business Insight, so they aren't accessible anywhere else. So we work through those on a case-by-case basis with the students that are really interested in getting involved in one of these classes that might have already taken these. Impact. Impact is a class where our students pursue a passion project for the duration of an entire school year. So our students will identify a topic that they're really passionate about, and they'll go through the design thinking process, and then they develop their project based on something that is very meaningful to them. This is a class, and I'll talk a little bit about mentoring, but they're matched with a mentor who can serve as a consultant for their project. And in this particular class, we have students that do a variety of different types of projects. We have students in this class that maybe want to become an author and they're writing their first novel. We have students that are really passionate about certain types of issues in the community. If anybody here has participated in our huge Warriors Wear Red fundraisers that supports the Special Olympics, that entire initiative came out of this course. We have students that do either awareness campaigns or fundraisers for things like dyslexia or homelessness or leukemia. So we have a variety of different students that are passionate about a lot of different things, and we want to be able to give them an avenue with which they can really do a deep dive and explore that. This class, and this is coming back to your question from earlier about what happens if you've taken a class that you can't repeat and you still really want to do a deep dive. In many ways, this can serve as an Insight 2.0. So as an example, if a student has taken, and we have students right now in the class that have taken global business, they're interested in creating their own business on the side. Whether it be landscaping, whether it's selling shoes or cards online. We have students that are really passionate about this. They are taking this class to take it to the next level. So in their passion project is developing their business in this particular course. We have a student this year that we're piloting something different, she's doing great, who took our aviation course and really wanted, she's going to be a pilot. There is absolutely no question that this is in her future. And she took our course and really wanted to continue to pursue that in high school, but our aviation course would be just repetitive for her. So she's actually in our impact course this year, and she is working on additional material that will help her prepare for her FAA written exam, and she's matched with a mentor who's a certified flight instructor who can help her understand anything that she's really running into in terms of challenges with the content. So this is a great opportunity for like an Insight 2.0. We've also had some students that are really interested in the Insight experience, but we don't offer a class that aligns with it. So we've had some students that have been very interested in theater, cinematography, that have used this as an opportunity to pursue an area of passion where there isn't another Insight course that really aligns with that. This class is every other day for the entire school year. It's held here at the high school, and it's open to grades 10 through 12, and this class is repeatable. So if a student takes it once and they have another project that they want to pursue, it is possible that they could take it again. Our journalism and media class is another one. This particular class is really behind a lot of the print and podcast and broadcast publications that we have here in the district. This class is really designed for those future journalists, those that are interested in sports broadcast or any type of like news reporting and working with media, social media strategists, things like that. This class it covers school events. They work on a variety of different digital and print publications. And in addition to having a mentor of their own, they also serve as mentors. We have a club of students at Horizon, 5th grade, that are engaged in a group called Hook Junior. We have the Hook, which is our publication, our print publication that this class puts out. And this particular group also mentors then Hook Junior students in 5th grade to help them work on editing and things like that, their pieces for their publications, which is pretty awesome. So this class is open to 10th through 12th grade students, It is a year long, every other day for the entire year, and this class can also be repeated. This class does have a prerequisite. Students need to take either writing for the media or yearbook ahead of time, because that gives them a lot of the background information that they're going to need to have to be able to successfully dive into the types of, the level of work that they're going to be doing in this class. Now, that being said, if a student is very interested in what we call JAM, they can take writing for the media and or yearbook concurrently with JAM. So that's possible, they just need to be getting that background information as well. In addition to doing all of these kind of print publications and digital publications, students will also be working towards an industry certification. The Adobe world is very, very valuable in the journalism world, and so students have a choice of choosing either Adobe InDesign, if they really want to focus on the writing and editing piece, or Photoshop if they're more interested in photojournalism. So students self-select which certification that they would like to work for, and they spend the year working towards that certification. Okay, serving others is another class that we have. This class is geared for those who are interested in human services. So this will attract our future educators, our future counselors and therapists, those that would like to work in public relations or work for nonprofits. This class really focuses, you know, when you think about education and being in education myself, like if you want to be a teacher, you first get into a classroom in front of students like your third year of college, which is kind of late to make the decision that maybe it's not for you. So we would really like to be able to get students to have those types of experiences earlier on. And this class has really been one that has done a phenomenal job of either cementing it for students that yes, this is my passion, this is what I want to do, or whoops, that would have been a big mistake. And then both of those are equally valuable. So this class works a lot with the community and adults in the community, and it also works a lot with our lower elementary school students, and also our students that are in our 18 to 21 program that have developmental disabilities. So they get to work with a variety of different people with a variety of different types of needs. And they work on a lot of projects, so they develop things like lessons around crafts and things like that. They go out and they do partnerships and they beautify the downtown. And so they do a lot of different types of activities where they really develop some of those skills to determine if this is something that they could see themselves doing in the future. This class is open to grades 10 through 12, and it's held here at the high school. However, they are out and about in the community a lot. Now, when that happens, transportation is always provided. This is one period every other day for the entire year, and you earn 2 credits in this particular class. Students take Psychology 101, 102, which earns you 3 credits through UW Green Bay in psychology. So here is where your post-secondary credits are accrued. In addition, the other credit is, we are the very first school in Waukesha County to have the transcripted credit class for the Introduction to Human Services through WCTC. So that's the other class that they take through this part. So they have both transcripted credits through the Tech College, and then they also earn 3 college credits through Green Bay. New next year is going to be our Serving Others internship, which is Serving Others 2.0. In order to be in this particular class, students will need to have been in Serving Others previously. So this is going to be an opportunity for students to really continue to do that deep dive. There's a lot of flexibility with this. Students can opt to take this for either a semester or a year, and they can do this 2 years in a row if they would like. And what they're going to be doing is taking a leadership role on with the Serving Others 1.0, but then they're also going to do an even deeper dive into passion projects in the area that they're really passionate about. And what that might look like for, let's say we have a student who thinks that they want to be an elementary school teacher. They'll be matched with a teacher here on district, and they'll be spending a lot of time working with that teacher, helping develop units, learning about pre and post assessments, learning about classroom management, and getting a lot of those experiences that they may not otherwise have. And then they'll also be working on a variety of different capstone projects within the community. So again, this is going to be open to 11th and 12th grade, but you need to have had the Serving Others first. That class will be held here at the high school. Okay, you guys are bearing with me, you're doing great, thank you. Technology support internship is another class that we have in the Insight program. This class is for our future hardware and software engineers and those individuals that are really interested in going into maybe cybersecurity or some of those other areas. This class is unique in that it is not a teacher-directed class in any way, shape, or form. The students are really operating very independently in this class. This class, the students are doing one of two different things. They man our help desk, which is upstairs, that's our tech help desk, where students and sometimes staff will come with devices if there's something wrong. And the students in this class are taught how to fix, how to enter tickets, and then how to do a lot of the common kind of break fixes for the devices that we have here in the district, because we have an abundance of technology devices. So they're the ones that are actually fixing a lot of the devices. They're testing them to make sure that they're corrected and fixed, and then they're returning them to the students. So they're actually really instrumental in running our help desk. Now, when you run a help desk, there's an ebb and a flow. So sometimes you have lots of devices to fix, and sometimes things are going pretty smoothly for a while and there's not a whole lot to fix. So when there's downtime, our students are working on industry certifications in the IT world. We have a menu of different certifications that they can work on. We connect with the students that are going to be in the TSI program. We talk to them a little bit about what their career interests are going to be, find out if they're going to be in the course for a semester or a year, and we really help them then figure out which one is the best fit for them. So you can kind of get an idea as to how that works. This is open to grades 10 through 12. It is repeatable, and we have students that will take this over and over again because they really like the experience. They earn half a credit if they take it for a semester. They earn a full credit if they take it for the full year. And here are, on the right, are some of the different certifications that students might work towards. If there's anything I've learned since becoming involved in the Insight program, these certifications change constantly. They change the names, they change the order in which you can get them. So this list is kind of, you know, it's moderately up to date right now. That could change tomorrow. So that's one of our jobs, is to kind of stay on top of that. In terms of prerequisites, we do have a requirement that our students have a clean disciplinary record when it comes to technology. And the reason for that is because they're working on devices and they have access to some behind the scenes things that other students don't, and so we want to make sure that they are trustworthy. So that's kind of a big deal for us with this. Now, that doesn't mean that if a student has gotten in trouble for having a cell phone out in class once, that somehow that's going to eliminate this as an option for them. But it's something that we look at, and we will have some candid conversations if someone's interested in this class and has something that's kind of been flagged on their record. The other piece is that we do have a half-day, kind of what we call a boot camp. It's usually the week before school starts. And that is where our TSI students for the upcoming year come in, they meet with our IT department, and our IT department walks them through how to do all of these break fixes on these devices so they can hit the ground running on day one. And our last course in Insight is our World Translations course. This course is different. It is only open to seniors. In this particular class, students who are interested in the translation or world languages in general, that field, if they want to become a translator down the road, this is a great opportunity for them to learn how different it is to translate documents versus simply speaking a second or a third language. So the students that are in this course are actually working on translating from either Spanish, French, or Mandarin into English, or from English into Spanish, French, or Mandarin. And they're working on authentic documents. It could be instruction manuals, it could be forms, it could be HR kind of onboarding materials for different types of companies. So students here, this class is only a semester long. It is held here at the high school. And the prerequisites are that students must have completed all 4 years or 4 levels of a world language and have earned a B or better in that in order to be able to apply for this particular course. Okay, so those are all of the courses. Benefits and expectations, when we kind of talk about why would a student do this? Because some of them take a lot of time in your schedule, and some of them, quite frankly, are a lot of work. So let's talk about what this is. The mentorship piece that I referenced earlier is probably the most powerful part of this based on the feedback that we get every year from the students. Every student that is an Insight for next year will get a survey from me in probably late February, and I ask them what is the career that they are thinking about pursuing in the future. Or if they're undecided, what's one that they'd like to kind of rule in or rule out? And I get all of that information, and then it's my job to find someone who will serve as their professional mentor for the duration of the year. So next year, all of our students are matched with a mentor. This year we have, to date, about almost 160 students are matched individually with mentors. Our mentors are only matched with one student at a time, so they are all unique matches. And we have mentors that are all over the US. And these mentors go through a couple of levels of background checks to make sure that they are good human beings. And they go through a training with me. And then we connect with the students, and I kind of review the expectations with the students, and then it's their responsibility to own that relationship. And the students meet monthly, either virtually or in person, with their mentors. And the students drive the conversations and ask questions about what the career looks like in reality. What are misconceptions? What are things that maybe the mentor doesn't like about their job, but that's part of the job? How do you network? What are there platforms where you find jobs? Things like that. Our ultimate goal is that one of two things will happen for the students coming out of this experience. Either A, they'll validate that this career is a good fit, and now they've had the opportunity to start to develop some professional networking while they're still in high school, or B, they slam on the brakes and go, whoops, not for me, but that gives them time to pivot. So we've had students that have done both, and both have been very successful. Every couple of months, I get an email from a student or a mentor from years past who will let me know that they are still in touch with their mentee. And it's been an incredible experience. We've had great things come out of our mentorship. We've had students that have gotten scholarships, internships, heads up on jobs. My most recent communication from a student was he stayed in contact with his mentor and just got his dream job. He just graduated from college and has been in touch with his mentor, and his mentor let him know about a job opening. He interviewed with his mentor for the job, and there we go. So we've got some great experiences that come out of this, and we always tell the students, you will get out of this what you put into it. So that's something that's really, really important and near and dear to my heart as a big part of this program, because I really think that it is imperative that our students have mentors, people who are not the teachers in the classroom, and to be honest, oftentimes not the adults at home, that are telling them what the real world looks like. Another benefit to being in Insight is the industry certifications and the post-secondary credits. That's a huge advantage and really allows the students to see the connections between what they learn in classes to what it looks like in the real world. It builds up their resume. It gives them talking points for interviews. It helps give them meat for scholarship essays and college applications. And so we've had a lot of great things that have kind of come out of these experiences. So there's a lot of different benefits to participating in the Insight program if it's something that's a good fit. Okay, yes, so I kind of already talked about this one. We are now encroaching on 160 mentors in the last couple of weeks because we've had a few new students be matched in the last couple of weeks, so that number's changing a bit. In terms of our student expectations for this, we really expect our students to own their learning in Insight. This is not a program where students will have their hand held. They are expected to take initiative. And I have met with the students now. I met with all of the current freshmen on Tuesday and then yesterday, and then this morning I met with all of the current juniors and sophomores and have kind of talked about this a little bit in an overview for them. And I have told them point blank, I don't care what their GPA is. I care what their future ready skills are. I want to know that they're really, willing to work hard and that they take responsibility for their learning. If they're struggling in a class, that's okay. As long as they're putting in the effort to try to move the needle, that's what I really care about. I've had students ask if a student has some unique needs. Can they participate in this program? Absolutely. I really want students that know how to adhere to deadlines and that will be professional when they're interacting with mentors. Those are the types of skills that I'm really looking for when we're talking about students being ready for the Insight rigor. Okay, any questions on any of that? Yes?
Is it possible for a student to take aviation 1 year and then go for the technology support internship the other year?
Great question. So the question was, can you take an Insight course 1 year and then take another Insight course the next year? Absolutely, yes. We definitely have students do that. We've had students that have, for example, thought that they wanted to go into, let's say, education, as an example. Took the serving others and went, whoops, nope. And then decided, maybe I want to go into finance. And so then they'll take the global business the next year. We've had students that have been trying to decide between 2 different career fields. We do have, I get the question a lot from students, can I do 2 Insight courses at the same time? That is a little bit more challenging. I will say the most common, it can happen, and we do have students that are doing more than one at the same time. Usually the second one is World Translations, because that's a semester-long course, or TSI, because TSI could be a semester or a year, and we need the help desk manned every hour of the day. So it's very flexible in terms of where we have a student fitted into their schedule. So that's a question that I get asked a lot. Another question I get asked a lot from students is, do we have a cap on the program? Is there a number of students that you can take? And I will say that the answer is it depends on the course. There are some classes where we do have caps. An example would be our Elements of Health and Medicine course. We have a cap on the number of students that we take because the state dictates how many students to a teacher can be part of the CNA program at WCTC. So that caps it for us. Our TSI technology support internship is capped because our help desk is not particularly large, and you can't fill that small space with a lot of high schoolers because then it's too many people. So we have some, but we don't normally in most of our courses have a very hard cap. Any other, yes?
So if a student gets into like aviation or something and decides like within the first couple of months it's not their jam, do they have to stay in for the rest of the year, or?
That is a great question. Okay, so if a student starts to take a class and then decides it's not for them, they're pretty much sticking it out for the year. It's very difficult for us to drop the number of credits a lot of times that they would have mid-year. So sometimes students will choose to ease in and take one that's maybe a semester, or maybe it's just one class. Just like any other class in the high school, once a certain amount of time passes, you can't drop it anymore. The same thing would go for an aviation. It's just 1 hour every other day. It is for the year, but just like you couldn't drop some of the other classes once a certain time period comes, that certainly is the case. We do have students also that will apply for Insight, and then, of course, they might get accepted into Insight, and then we have the beast of scheduling that happens, and people are trying to put the puzzle pieces all together and make it create something that works. So sometimes we have some hiccups there too. So even if we do have a course that has a cap on it, we always create a wait list, because if there is a student that can't fit a piece in, sometimes there's some really goofy kind of conflicts that happen and the student can't participate, then we can open up a spot on that wait list as well. Yes?
Can students apply to Insights given there are caps and such?
Yes, so absolutely. So the question is, can you apply to more than one strand? Yes, you can apply to more than one strand of Insight. We have a lot of students actually that choose to do that because they want to get the application in, but they're still processing which one they might be interested in. And I'm actually going to talk a little bit about some of our next steps here, and I'm going to come back to that because there's a part of this that I'd like to touch on. If a student is interested in Insight, the first step is the application. The application is open now, and it will be open until midnight on January 9th. I always warn our students with the holiday break in there, it comes up fast. And it is without fail that I will have a student the morning of January 10th reach out and say, oh, I'm sorry, I missed the deadline. Can I still apply? And that's hard at that point because the next step has already happened. Okay, so the application itself, it's a Google form. It's really not asking a student to do something tremendous. It asks for their name, their grade next year. It asks them to identify the strand or strands that they are interested in. And then the next question is they need to have 3 teachers that are willing to vouch for them. High school teachers, they can't put their 2nd grade teacher down, because we've had that happen a few times. Who would say, yeah, they're hardworking, yeah, they take responsibility for their learning. The teachers don't need to write letters of recommendation or anything like that, but I do go back to all of the teachers and I do ask them, would you agree that this is a student that demonstrates the characteristics that we look for in terms of insight? And then there are about 3 essay questions. It's not a 5-paragraph essay, it's a 1-paragraph essay, where students have a variety of questions and they choose one out of each section to answer. So that's what the application is. It should take students 15 to 20 minutes tops to be able to fill out and complete that application. Once that is in and once that window closes, the other question I'm getting a lot from students today is, if I turn in my application right away, does that make it more likely for me to get into a course? No, no. So if you need to take some time, go ahead and do that, take the time. So the window closes on the 9th, then on the 10th, so that Friday, I push out a sign up for the interviews. That is the next step in the Insight process. The interviews will take place January 13th through the 21st. We are working on developing the times right now. Unfortunately, that is also exam week, which is not pretty, but we're working with that. We have a very tight timeline where we need to have all of the decisions made in order to kick off scheduling for next year. So it's a little tough. But we're gonna we'll have interviews during that time frame. The students are terrified of the interview process, okay? The interview is not nearly as scary as what a lot of people think it is. The students will come in, they are in groups of 4. They sit down with the teachers of that particular insight strand, and we ask them some questions about why they think that this is a good fit for them. How have they demonstrated some of these characteristics, and how is this in alignment with their career goals? That's really what we're looking for. And back to your question about picking different strands, a lot of students will choose this as an opportunity to ask a little bit more about the questions to help them decide which strand they're most interested in, if they're trying to decide between a couple of them. So then we go through that interview process. They're in and out in 15 minutes. Again, not nearly as scary as they think it is, but we really feel that it's an important part of the process because we are really focused on building employability skills. And then what we will do is we will have notifications will go out. They come out from me. They go to the student's email on both the 22nd and or 23rd, depending on how quickly I can get them all out, letting students know. Scheduling kicks off on the 23rd. So that's why that timeline is very, very tight. So that is kind of like the overall timeline of things. Something else that we offer up for students here is, if you're not familiar, we offer something at the high school called class test drives. And this is the week before the holiday break, where that entire week, Monday through Thursday of that week, teachers will offer during the resource period, 7:30 to 8:10 in the morning, an opportunity for students to sign up and kind of try out and learn a little bit more about some of the electives that are going to be offered next year. So a lot of our Insight teachers will offer a test drive. So maybe Serving Others teachers will offer a test drive on Monday, maybe Elements of Health and Medicine will offer it on Tuesday. So students can actually select to go and learn a little bit more about what that class is like. And talk to the teachers and talk about what a typical day in that class might look like. And that has been incredibly helpful for some of our students that are trying to decide between different strands, what decision they would like to make. I also have students that are emailing me. I've gotten a bunch of emails today. Some of them are asking if they could just sit down and just kind of talk to me and talk through this, because they have an idea of a potential career path and they're trying to figure out which option might be the best fit for them. So I will be popping back over to the high school pretty regularly between now and the end of the application period, just to kind of talk through with students if they have questions. That's pretty typical. That happens every year where I have students that reach out and they just want to chat and talk through things. And that's great. I love it when people are thinking really intentionally about this and if this is a good fit for them. So that's the way that the application timeline works. Where do you find the applications? Well, the applications have been emailed to the students, so it's in their inbox. But you can also just go to our website and PewaukeeInsight.com, and up in the upper left where it says students apply here, you click on that button and it takes you right to the application. So pretty straightforward. I will be sending reminders out to students, and we'll be continuously linking that as well in case they, an inbox is a black hole or something like that, they can kind of get it towards the top because I know that happens. So that's how you access the application. My email is here. If anybody has questions or concerns, please, please, please do not hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to answer questions. We can connect via email, we can connect via meeting, whatever it is that works best for you. I know scheduling is kind of overwhelming with the amount of decisions that students have to make, and I know it can feel like a lot. I also know that it also feels very, very far away right now. And unfortunately that is the case, that we start this process so early because we tailor-make the entire master schedule based on what students want. So the first step is figuring out what they want. So I'm here to answer questions that you have. I love this program. I feel really, really strongly about how much of a difference that this can make in helping students really refine what their path is. That being said, I understand that it's maybe not everyone's cup of tea, and maybe some people want to wait another year before embarking on it. So that's what I have for you this evening. I will again stay if anybody has any questions, but if anybody is like desperate to get on the road and get out of here and get back home safe and sound, I completely understand that as well. So I'm just gonna let everyone kind of head out if they want. I'm just gonna stay up here though, so if anybody wants to come up and ask questions, I'm more than happy to answer any of those for you. Thank you all for braving the weather tonight. I appreciate it. Have a lovely night. Please get home safe.